Hi guys, this presentation will be conducted by Trang, Kiara, Lehman and Jasmyne Gould and will focus on furthering your knowledge of integrated learning. Trang will begin by introducing integrated learning and focus on an approach of the past known as an intradisciplinary approach. This will then be followed by Kiara Lehman, who will discuss a current approach known as an interdisciplinary approach. Jasmyne Gould will then finish with a multidisciplinary approach to integration.
What is integrated learning? Integrated learning is the ability to bring multiple areas of the curriculum and have the classes take ideas and concepts to unify their subjects. This theory promotes skills, knowledge, and behaviors that can be used in collaboration and critical thinking, resulting in a deeper understanding. Integrated lessons enhance the student-focused teaching strategies to foster an environment of active learning. Having these lessons provided and presented as a cohesive strategy for the school creates a sense of togetherness, one where the students feel they're involved and not having their learning disjoint by separating classes. Integrated learning is a modern-day realization that learning needs to be child-centered, relevant, and meaningful. With this in mind, a curriculum can be created when units are interconnected and spread across a range of social, cultural, economic, and political contexts. Why do we use an integrated studies approach? So, it allows teachers to understand children's thinking process, as children who struggle with a particular topic can distinguish their knowledge through a fragmented learning style. It also allows educators flexibility with their planning and teaching, while still supporting a holistic perspective of learning. It also supports students in collecting, managing, and processing information through authentic, enriching, real-world context support students focus on the lesson's big ideas. A bit about education in the past. The old-fashioned way of teaching was all about recitation. For example, students would sit in silence while one student after another would take it in turns to recite a lesson, until each one had been called upon. The teacher would listen to each student's recitation and they were expected to study and memorize the assignments. At the end of the module, a written test or oral examination would be conducted. This process was called an assignment study recitation test. The way in which traditional methods were taught ensured that students were rewarded for their efforts, used class periods efficiently, and exercised clear rules to manage students' behavior. They were based on established customs that had been used successfully in schools over many years. The teachers communicated the knowledge and enforced standards of behavior. Because traditional techniques used repetition and memorization of information to educate students, it meant that they were not developing their critical thinking, problem-solving, and decision-making skills like today. Integrated studies in the 1990s. An integrated curriculum was designed through the use of thematic units of study. A topic would be selected, for example, space, and the educators would have to implement lessons for each subject area, making sure it linked in with the topic selected. However, each subject remained within its disciplinary, which is the fragmented approach. So in science, children would only learn and focus on scientific concepts. For example, for the topic of space, educators could plan for children to Google up the estimated weight, width, height, and so on and compare each one. There are a lot of history that could be connected with space, such as what happened to the planet Pluto. And for English, they could extend their vocabulary on words to do with space. In the 1990s, educators were implementing the explicit teaching method. Thus, children's voices were not heard. This meant that the educator was the center of learning. In the interdisciplinary approach, subdisciplines are taught within a specific subject areas. Focusing on reading, writing, and oral communication as a whole in language arts is a very common example of this. This approach focuses mainly on big ideas of the subdisciplines, and although integration is only happening within one subject area, the content is taught at a greater depth of understanding. The fragmented model. The fragmented model, also known as the traditional design for organizing the curriculum, dictates separate and distinct disciplines. This model views the curriculum through a periscope, offering one sighting at a time. which is also one directed focus on a single discipline. Typically, the major academic areas are math, science, language arts, and social studies. Each is seen as a pure entity in and of itself. Relationships between subject areas, physics and chemistry, for example, are only implicitly indicated. In middle schools, the disciplines are taught by different teachers in different locations, with students having to move from room to room. Each separate encounter has a distinct cellular organization, leaving students with a fragmented view of the curriculum. Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. This theory follows that every child learns at their own pace and requires different methods of teaching. When educators utilize integrated teaching methods, they are able to speak to the different learning styles presented in students. Gardner's multiple intelligence theory can be used for curriculum development, planning instruction, selection of course activities, and related assessment strategies. Instruction which is designed to help students develop their strengths can also trigger their confidence to develop areas in which they are not as strong. Students' multiple learning preferences can be addressed when instruction includes a range of meaningful and appropriate methods, activities, and assessments. Integrate educational theories, teaching strategies, and other pedagogical tools in meaningful and useful ways to better address the needs of students. Gardner himself asserts that educators should not follow one specific theory or educational innovation when designing instruction, but instead employ custom goals and values appropriate to their teaching and students' needs. Addressing the multiple intelligence and potential of students can help instructors personalize their instruction of methods of assessment. So, the pedagogy that can be linked is explicit or direct teaching. Demonstrating is at the more proactive end of teaching continuum. There are times when educators need to provide clear demonstrations to children. Demonstrations can be very effective when introducing a new technique or skill or when children have forgotten how to do something. This may involve showing children how to use a particular piece of equipment or the demonstration of a particular technique that is useful when working with clay or when drawing. Directing or explicit instruction is most appropriate when children are introduced to something for the first time. It is also necessary when there are safety issues and the educator is required to intervene and remind children of procedures or rules. When educators are directing children's learning or play, the control of the experience is when the educator rather than the children. This may only be for a short period of time, and then control of the situation is handed back to the children.
What influenced the inclusion of integrated learning? Two influences that go hand in hand with the inclusion of integration are the different skills required for the 21st century and the change to an international curriculum. As we've moved further into the 21st century, there was the demand for a national curriculum. Skills students require for the future workforce have changed, which resulted in general capabilities and cross curriculum priorities being an addition to traditional learning areas. The national curriculum and all the extra content also led to the term overcrowded curriculum. The overcrowded curriculum strongly influenced the inclusion of the integrated learning. With so many learning areas, the inclusion of general capabilities and then also cross curriculum priorities, it meant there needed to be new ideas on how all of this content could be taught. That's where integration comes in, as it meant many aspects of the Australian curriculum could be combined, or in other terms, integrated. Some ideas of why we integrate are to deepen their learning and to accommodate the crowded curriculum, but there is also the research from theorists that supports integration. John Dewey is well known for his philosophies and ideas on education, and they still play their role in modern education. John Dewey is most famous for his research and view on progressive education. Progressive education being the view that students learn better by doing rather than passively receiving. John Dewey also emphasized a child-centered approach where teachers should focus on the needs and interests of the child. All these views and ideas Dewey proposed link to an overarching idea of his that the curriculum should be an interdisciplinary curriculum. Interdisciplinary curriculum meaning rather than teaching separate subjects, the curriculum should be taught by connecting multiple subjects, or, in other terms, a curriculum that uses integration. What does integrated learning look like in the 21st century? Integration is such a broad topic, and teachers and schools can integrate in many different ways. An example of integrated learning already implemented by the Australian curriculum is the Humanities and Social Science learning area. The Australian curriculum integrates history, geography, civics and citizenship, and economics and business into one learning area from foundation to year 6. This is an example of integration across disciplines where the related subjects are taught concurrently. The Humanities and Social Science learning area in the Australian curriculum is just one example of integrating or connecting subjects. Let's dive further into what an interdisciplinary approach to integration means and also connect it to Fogarty's web model of integration. As simplified before, an interdisciplinary approach is bringing together areas of the curriculum, which is also known as integration across disciplines. This can be done in many ways, including arranging a unit's topic or skills in more than one subject area and teaching them concurrently, or subjects can remain separate but learning is hence enhanced through integration of similar skills. A more common approach to interdisciplinary teaching is when a teacher chooses a topic or theme to integrate learning areas and other areas of the curriculum. This is also known as a web model of integration. The web model integrates across disciplines by using a theme to web disciplines and subjects and can be achieved easily in a classroom. So how does the web model of integration look in the classroom? This unit plan is an example of an interdisciplinary approach using Fogarty's web model of integration. The unit plan uses the theme or topic Love Food, Love Bees to integrate areas of the curriculum. The unit plan demonstrates how with one topic you can web together learning areas as well as general capabilities and cross-curriculum priorities. For example, this integrates the learning areas of science, English, arts, maths, and humanities and social science, but also explores general capability of critical and creative thinking and the cross-curriculum priority sustainability. So how would this unit be taught in the classroom? A teaching strategy that fits well with integration is inquiry learning. Inquiry learning is when instead of a teacher using traditional methods of explicit teaching, they allow students to be involved in their own learning through inquiry and hands-on learning. I don't know if you picked up on it before, but the integrated unit plan we looked at used an inquiry approach. Kath Murdoch and theorists like John Dewey emphasised the benefits of using the inquiry approach for integrated learning. But why? Integration is all about teaching within meaningful connected contexts. The long history of research into an inquiry approach suggests students are more actively involved in their learning through inquiry, but also make their own connections. So research suggests an inquiry approach fits well with the goal of integrated learning as it supports teaching within meaningful connected contexts.
In this section, I'm going to be talking about how students learn best in the needs of the 21st century than how they've learnt in the past. What we are going to be discussing today is that there are a number of different methods in how we as teachers can present the curriculum to our fellow students to be able to make their learning more meaningful. So therefore, I'm going to be looking at the shared approach of Fogarty's model of the integration. I am then going to be demonstrating how we can effectively work with our curriculum to make the learning more effective for our students. Students are able to learn better in our curriculum in the 21st century as it is made up of 3-dimensional designs from foundation year level to the year 10. It looks at the learning areas, general capabilities and cross-curriculum with the importance of disciplinary knowledge, skills and understanding. There is a way that subjects can be integrated is through a process which is known as multidisciplinary, which links two subjects between areas such as mathematics and the arts, which focus on a theme which both these subjects can connect and overlap one another. Multidisciplinary approach looks at integrating the curriculum on two different disciplines that focus on one theme topic of the subject and the type of disciplines. For example, multidisciplinary curriculum is able to look at a topic which is able to be viewed and studied from the same viewpoint more than one discipline. The integrated studies approach is designed to build in motivation and leverage which connects the existence between the core curriculum areas of literacy and numeracy and embedded with them within the other learning contexts. So multidisciplinary involving different subjects in one activity. So which means multidisciplinary is trying to encourage the students to use and apply their existing knowledge by extending on their new acquired knowledge by being hands-on with their learning. Looking at the Fogarty model of integration in the present is going to be unpacking the shared model. This links with the multidisciplinary approach in the curriculum as it connects two distant disciplines together, which are able to focus on a single theme such as maths and arts, which is focused on a symmetrical, which is the shared approach. It integrates with one another, and the teacher of the two disciplines can come together and plan what they will be teaching in that unit, which then will take place in their class. The teachers will be able to form a partnership and plan the unit of study, which looks at common topics, concepts, and skills. In this unit, the subjects will overlap, and it will help the teachers to identify what the students already know with their prior knowledge and what they'll be able to be extending on with their existing knowledge throughout this unit.
So this links in with Vygotski's theory of zone of proximal development, as it involves what a child is able to complete independently, and also looks at how a child can achieve the learning objective while receiving help from a teacher. Vygotsky believed that children made connections between people and their surroundings, which resulted in a shared experience. Zone of proximal development is allowing teachers to scaffold and use the Fogarty's model on shared, which will help the teachers to use a multidisciplinary approach to be able to use a certain topic or theme between subject areas. This allows to create a fun, engaging lesson and to connect the students to new learning and be able to extend on their prior learning by teachers being able to integrate guided practice within their lessons.
So the pedagogy approach that can link is the collaborative approach, as it allows students to work together by collective learning, peer teaching, students learning, and learning in a team environment. So by being able to work together, it allows everyone to achieve the acquired learning objective within the lesson or within the unit that the teacher is teaching. So a teaching strategy that will be useful in this case would be think, pair, share. And it can talk about what the students can answer to the question. And they can sit there with their pairs and their partners and talk about their ideas together.
In conclusion, the curriculum has evolved over the time from the past to the present. The past worked in a fragment way within the curriculum, which meant that the students were being taught in a single subject area. Whereas now, students are able to learn in a curriculum where it is able to integrate with one another. This means that teachers can teach between subject areas, which is known by using multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary, using Fogarty's model of webbed and shared. Teachers can use teaching strategies to deliver their content to their students. And this is very helpful by using multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary, as they can link between subjects of a known topic.